Hey guys, it's Hayes with CheatSheetPros.com. Today is Friday, September 23rd, 2022, and in the premium Facebook chat group, I've been talking about a new methodology of TIC-TAC-PROPS is what we're going to call it. Now, how this came about, sports betting became legal in my state right at week one. That Thursday, they released it, and so I got access to a lot of same-game props that everybody has been showing screenshots of in the chat, so I was pretty jealous. So I went a little bananas the first 2 weeks. I absolutely love them. But problem is I would have around 15 same game parlays, and then one leg would be in like 10 to 12 of them. And if that leg lost, it killed the majority of them. So I'm like, how can I put these together and mix and match where I don't have too many eggs in one basket? Well, we were eating dinner one night, and on the kids menu, they've got all the little games and mazes, and there's a tic-tac-toe board, and my son leaned over and he goes, "Dad, let's play tic-tac-toe." I said, all right. So I'm showing him the strategy about how you can go across, how you can do the X, how you can do vertical, and I started thinking, I'm like, well, heck, if I came up with 9 props or 9 legs, I could put in a tic-tac-toe board, and then that gives me all my bets right there. So I started talking in the chat, running it by. I said, hey, what do you guys think of this? Is this something you think would have merit? And they're like, well, we want to know some more. Can you make a video? So I started building this thing in Excel to try to make this video to show everybody. And now I finally got it where I want it. Now, I haven't bet this card. This isn't like my final card. So the ones in blue that you see here, A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra, Diggs, their reception props are not up on DraftKings right now. And it's already Friday morning. And I wanted to go ahead and get the video up to kind of explain the methodology behind it. So I went ahead and just figured plus 200 on the lower end. But ideally, this is what you have. You have your tic-tac-toe board over here. Now we're going to bet, one bet is going to be across, bet 2 is across, bet 3 is across, and then of course we do the vertical. So that's bet 4, that's bet 5, that's bet 6. 7 is going to be your diagonal. 8 is going to be your diagonal the other way. So that gives you 8 units. Now, what that does is your favorite prop goes right here in the middle because you're going to use this the majority of the time. So this is going to be in 1, 2, 3, 4 different props. So this one's going to be used in 4 legs, so your favorite one goes in the middle. So that's the one that you think is a slam dunk that you really like. Now, your next favorite props, 4 of them, they're going to go in your corners because they are going to be used 3 times. So your corner props is going to be 1, 2, and then the zigzag 3. So we're using this one 4 times, we're using our corners 3 times, and then our more risky props where we're maybe going to shoot for the moon, they go here in the yellow on the plus side, and the reason is they are only used 2 times. So it's going to be used on the cross pick and the vertical pick. So you can put a little bit more risky there. So that's kind of how I'm building my board. Now, over here you can kind of see this is a general board that I've built. So Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I put some notes in here for you. I was hoping to have this board completely done with what I wanted to bet, but I keep teeter-tottering on some of the plays, so I was like, heck, I'm just going to do the video. We can talk about it in the chat, see what you guys like. So I'm going to go through some of these and just kind of give you the overview of some of the research that I've done. So, for example, Amon-Ra St. Brown, he was one of my favorite props. His reception yard, you can go pretty much anywhere. He's got a record for 8 catches per game. He's either got the record or he's 1 game away, so he's probably going to get 7, 8 catches. So I'm really going to focus on his reception and then be a little safer on his yardages. Minnesota's 29th in pass yards allowed, so I'm going to put that one in my middle square for right now. The other one I like is Drake London. So, well, heck, let me go ahead and just pull him up. We'll go ahead and just make this video about a few plays as well. So I typically use RotoWire when I'm looking at game logs, player props, doing videos, anything like that. So the one thing that jumped out on me, so Drake London, I can get 7 catches, 80 yards at plus 400. Now, when I originally started this video, it was plus 350, and then Friday morning I was putting it back in for the blackout payout, and it was plus 400. So I was like, wow, that's a really good leg to take a shot on right there. Now, Seattle is 30th. Well, they've got the 30th ranked pass defense, and they are 29th and 24th versus wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2. So he's in a good spot. So I wanted to kind of show his game logs when I come back here and look at this. So London, in week 1, he had 7 targets as a rookie. That's his first game, 5 for 74. It was quiet. You know, no one really paid attention to it. But last week against the Rams, he had 12 targets, so that jumped out on our NFL cheat sheet under targets. He's someone that rose to the top that I started looking at. he was 8 for 86, and he had a touchdown. So 8 for 86. Well, I can go 7 for 80 at plus 400. We only need to win that about 20% of the time to be profitable. So I already bet that just as a normal straight bet when it was plus 350, but now I'm almost sick. It's plus 400. So I'm just going to put it in here as a long shot leg because it is a little risky, but I'm shooting for the moon here. And then I came over here to Joe Mixon. And when I was looking at his catches, he gets a lot of catches. There wasn't a lot of value there, but yardage, it really skyrocketed plus money. So 3 for 35, and this is over 2.5, over 34.5. It's just easier to write 3 plus, 35 plus, but 35 is a win. So 3 for 35 was plus 300. Now you could jump it up to 5 catches, but that was a little more risky. I am perfectly happy with anything over plus 250. So 3 for 35 at plus 300. And then when I pulled up the NFL cheat sheet, I saw the New York Jets are 29th versus pass catching running backs. Now, let's run over, take a look at Mixon, and let's see how often this happens. He's someone, and it seems like every year they always come out really low on his receiving yard prop. So looking at Joe Mixon for this year, so last game, he didn't do really well. Dallas was really good against pass catching backs. He had 3 catches for 26 on 4 targets, so he wouldn't have got there. But the prior week, look at this, he had 9 targets in the passing game and caught 7 for 63. So you could go way higher than this, but 3-1, that's a game we really don't need to win that many of the time. So if you hit this London and you hit this Mixon, you're going to have a big payday. So if you just run across here, this leg pays plus 5,900, so that is 59-1 odds. So for every dollar, it would pay you back $59. So $10 would pay you $590. So when we're talking about doing tic-tac props, if you do the standard 8 units and you hit one of these legs, so this one, you would be plus 51 units. And you could even set this up based on the time slot. So say you have noon games, you do 3 here and you try to hit this. So let's say you get lucky and you nail this at the noon games. You're like, hey, no matter what happens in the afternoon games, I'm plus 51 units. Or if you're doing a half a unit on each leg, you're like, hey, I'm plus 25 units. So you only need to hit a tic-tac-toe, is what we'll call it, once every 5, 6, 7 weeks to be profitable. So I recommend going for the gusto. Now, if you want to go safe and do some legs where you're more likely to win, they're going to pay more, 4-1, 10-1. I would risk a little bit more, but one that I'm doing, I'm going for the gusto. I'm finding stuff that's reasonable that they can do, that they've done at least 50% of the time, or they've done in both games this year, that's going to pay plus 200 or greater. So if we go across here, this one, and this is just figuring Amon-Ra at plus 200, so you could go pretty safe there. That pays 59-1, so that's huge. Now up here, if you go across, now these plays, Jefferson, I'm thinking about replacing. 7 catches, 115 yards, good spot. Detroit's 27th in passing yards allowed, but it's only plus 165, and that's a lot of yards, so I'm probably going to replace this leg, but I wanted to get something that was less than plus 200 to kind of show you how the payout shifted. A.J. Brown, Washington's 20th in pass defense. They didn't have his receptions up. I figured plus 200 to be safe. And then I like Travis Kelce. Indianapolis is 31st versus the tight end, which we can see in our NFL cheat sheet. And they are 29th in pass defense. So Kelce to go 7 for 90 is plus 225. So if you did these 3 legs, and this is doing a low payout on Jefferson, it pays 24-1. So we're going to look across here. So $4 would pay almost 100. But we're probably going to replace this card. And then the same thing here, if you do Chase, Adams, Diggs, we're at 44-1. So the reason I like this is if I'm sitting here Sunday, I don't have to write down all these different legs and props. I can do my tic-tac-toe board, and if this one wins, I have a little highlighter. I highlight it. If this one loses, I put an X in it, and then just kind of see how things play out. Now, when I play it, I'm probably going to mix, like all the yellows together and, do some weird stuff for some extra bets just to have fun, depending on how much I like the legs. Diggs has been absolute fire. Miami's 32nd in short pass defense and 31st in pass defense overall. And his line you can really crank up. You can go from 85, 95, 105 and really add this one up. So this is going to be a big pay leg. Adams, I like him to bounce back. Tennessee is 31st against the wide receiver 1, and they are 26th in pass defense. So you can do 8 for 105 plus 270. So that's a good pay leg. Chase, I like him to bounce back against the Jets. The Bengals are 0-2. They need to win. They're going to rely on their studs. So Mixon and Chase should have big games. Jets are 32nd in pass defense, so I'm not really worried about them, shutting him down. It's not like they're playing the Bills. And versus the wide receiver 1, they rank 24th. So I like Chase. 7 for 100 was plus 295. That looked good. It's probably up a little bit more today. And then if you run this leg here where we're going to figure a safe 200 for A.J. Brown, we got the big one on London. This is a little riskier. And then we got Chase. That leg pays 58 to 1. So if you come through here and you hit this one and you hit this one, you're like, well, heck, I only need this for a 58 to 1. And the fun part about it is if you hit the Amon-Ra and you've already hit this leg, you're like, well, hey, I only need Diggs, and this is going to be another, 40 to 1, 50 to 1. So you have the potential to make a lot of money if you pick good plays. Now, I wanted to see what a blackout would pay. So, well, blackout, I guess we're talking about bingo a little bit. But if you do all 9 squares, I wanted to know what it would pay. Well, when I was putting it in, I went a little safer, but I only got 7 of the squares. So I got the 6th and the 7th square. I didn't get the last 2 in. But look at this. 7 of the 9 legs when I put it in, it was 19,775 to 1 odds. So $1 paid $19,775. I was like, holy crap, that would be awesome. So could you imagine sitting there on a Sunday and you nail this, you're plus money. You get these 2, you're plus money. Then let's say you get lucky, hit these 2, and you're like, hey, I got 2 more legs, and if these hit, I'm going to make 20 grand off of $1. But imagine if you put $5 on it, that'd pay $100K. That's insane. And this doesn't include all the boosts that DK gives you. There's always a 25% boost, a 10% boost, or whatnot. Now, a couple other legs I wanted to talk about that you could possibly put in there. Chris Olave, that's someone we could look at. At 65 yards, just 65 yards, not adding any receptions, it was plus 320. 55 yards was plus 200. So he potentially could generate a massive leg for you. So let's go take a look at his game logs real quick. So we're looking down here for Chris Olave. And in the first week, he only had 3 targets, 3 for 41. He's a rookie. That's fine. Get his feet wet. But what was really impressive is he had 13 targets against Tampa Bay. So that was huge. And he caught 5 for 80. So 5 for 80. And then we come over here and you're telling me 65 yards is plus 320. And if I put the minimum like 3 or 4 catches on there, that's going to be around plus 400. Or you could go safer and say 55 yards for plus 200, throw some catches, you'll get it up over 300. So I really like that. I tend to take a little lesser on the rookies rather than going like a Jefferson one. This is the one, for some reason, it's really bothering me. Wentz, last week he was our favorite play. We put him in a lot of parlay legs, over 199.5 passing yards. The reason is the Commanders cannot run the ball. Antonio Gibson is awful. He will never have a 100-yard rushing game. They have no rush offense. It's always Wentz. Now, after the first quarter, he only had 12 passing yards, and I'm sure a lot of people were laughing, but he ended with like 337. So you can do Wentz over 275 and 1 touchdown and get plus 200. So that's a good leg that you can add. So let me show you what his game logs look like. So Carson Wentz, even though he's going to throw a ton of picks, they don't hurt us when we're doing props like this. So look, he has 41 and 46 attempts in 2 weeks against Jacksonville and Detroit. They're not going to be able to run against Philadelphia, and they don't run anyway. But he had 313 yards and 4 touchdowns in week 1, but 2 picks. And then he had 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 1 pick in week 2. Now, and in this week where he threw for 337, he had 25 passing yards at the end of the first quarter. So for him to come back in the second half, I really like that. And it's only 200, so if you're doing a long shot leg, I don't mind that at all. Now, Devontae Adams, I want to show you how we can change here. So 8 catches, 95 yards was plus 210. Ideally, I want to try to get plus 200 or better in all 9 squares because that's when you get a really good payout. I was doing some of them last night, sitting out on the deck, just kind of hanging out, and I had some that were almost 100 to 1. And so I was like, okay, you can really mix and match these depending on the type of bettor that you are. If you want risky, not as risky. But it's kind of fun because you can write down 9 squares and be like, hey, I've got 10 different cards and it's all in these 9 squares and I can easily track them and mark them. So Adams at 8 catches, 95 yards was plus 210. If you jump this up to 10 catches, 105 yards, which really 2 more catches and 10 more yards, plus 475. Huge payout if you want to go a little bit riskier there. Some of the other optional squares I thought about doing was I like going individual players like London 780 plus 400, Mixon 3 for 35. I mean, that's one we could hit and mark early. Kelsey, he's pretty much the wide receiver 1 for Kansas City. You know, legs like this. But I also like mixing in some of these same game squares. Now, these are the 2 that really jumped out at me, and I was able to get them up to about plus 275. So I like doing these better than like the Jefferson. So that's probably what I will do. One, the 275 is going to give you a better payout, and I think it's better odds than Jefferson going 7 for 115 plus. So these are Chiefs to score at least 21 points and then plus 4.5 for the game. They're laying about a touchdown. I don't see the Chiefs losing by 5, and I don't see them getting shut down by a horrible team by less than 21 points. So I like this. This leg feels pretty safe. Kelsey, 5 for 60. That's a floor for him. I went back and looked at how many times he either gets shut down and dominated by certain players where he has like 2 or 3 catches for 30 yards, or he's always in that 80, 90, 100 range. So 5 for 60 is pretty safe. Mahomes, 250. He missed that last game. He had like 230 or 229, somewhere around there. But the prior 8 or 9 games, he had hit that in a row. So I really like these legs. The only risky part to this is KC over 1 touchdown in the first half. This thing was like even money. But if you pick 2 touchdowns in the first half, it skyrocketed to plus 275. So that's where I'm putting my risk. And I really like KC. Their red zone offense is highly efficient. So that is one for plus 275. Another one is Buffalo against Miami. Buffalo is absolutely annihilating everybody they play right now. And even though everybody remembers the big comeback last week, that really wasn't Miami. That was more a horrible secondary by Baltimore, playing a zone, letting 2 speedy receivers just burn them over and over again. So Buffalo to score 20 points and then plus 4.5 for the game. Even if Buffalo lost this game by some miracle fluke at the end, I think they're going to be within 4.5, and they're going to score at least 20 points the way they're playing right now. I also went ahead and did the Bills 2 TDs first half. They're highly efficient. They're putting up it's like 37 points a game right now. So for them to score 2 touchdowns in the first half and get this to 275, I really like that. And then Diggs, you can move his number around. I just chose 85 yards. I figured that's kind of modest to put him in there. But plus 275, these are solid legs here. So you could take these, you could mix and match them, and you could put them anywhere in here that you want. But this is just kind of the grid I was talking about and how we do the different payouts. So I think this will be a lot of fun to do. And if you guys are ever curious about my grid, what I end up betting, just shoot me a message. Let me know. I'm happy to share it with you. I may mix in a few college props for Saturday and try to get those squares marked off and then get into Sunday. But if I can get this grid written out what I like, then I can sit out on my deck with a cup of coffee and just kind of enter them, and that's going to be the majority of the time. So anyways, this is TIC-TAC-PROPS. This is how we play it, how we track it. And don't forget to throw your buck on the blackout for something. And this was only 7 of 9 legs, and it paid almost 20 grand. So if you did 9 of 9 legs, this thing's probably going to be 30 or 40,000. So anyways, throw some pizza money on it and have some fun. Good luck, guys.